Welcome back. Lamech Mwanyangapo, the founder of the Lamech Mwanyangapo Cancer Foundation, joins us tonight to speak to us about his newly founded foundation. This foundation is dedicated to supporting individuals and families affected by cancer, raising awareness about the disease, as well as funding research initiatives to combat cancer. Joining Tate Lamech is Ms. Edvig Ndeshi, who is a medical scientist and also a medical advisor to Tate Lamech, who is the founder and chairperson of the foundation. Now let's delve into their inspiring journey as well as the vision behind this impactful organization. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to start with you, Tate Lamech. Perhaps you can share with us a personal story or the motivation behind starting this cancer foundation.
Thank you, Nina. The journey was not easy one. If I can come or start around April 2023, when I received a threatening life message that I have multiple myeloma cancer. That was a tough one. Take consideration the operation I went through, the radiation, don't talk about the other treatment. And of course also emotionally and financially drinking. That was not easy one. Then of course you have to go through, and at the end of the day you find the light at the tunnel. That immediately after a long journey which ended up with bone marrow and stem cell transplant in Cape Town. But now here I am.
Here you are.
Then you have to take stock and look back, and you say to yourself, if I can go through this, but somebody upstairs say, Lamech, stay on. What did he want me to do? Probably he still want me to do something among the community. In order to do that, I declare war against cancer. In order to do that, you have to follow the channel, the instrument of laws that we have in the country. You cannot operate from the street, which is coming to establishment of Lamech Mwanyangapo Cancer Foundation.
That's fantastic. Tell me, Tate Lamech, how does, or rather talk to us about the specific goals and objectives that you wish to achieve with the foundation.
Lamech Cancer Foundation have the main four focus of objective. Those who saw the information on the social media, you can recall that the main objective is to meet the government halfway. And we dedicated ourselves to say we need to start somewhere. And that is to set up the oncology center in the northern part of the country. I receive a lot of calls, why the north? Yes, currently, throughout Namibia, the only oncology center you have is in Windhoek. Now, you have people coming either from Katima or from Oshakati or from wherever it's in the regions. You put them in the bus to come to Windhoek just because of the lady have a negative result for her breast, just to come for the mammogram. That is something which is not good with me. And I said, I'm not blaming the government. But instead to blame the government, what can I do? Let me set up something of which we can meet government halfway. One is to bring service closer to the people. That is to establishing oncology center in the northern part of the country.
That's fantastic.
Two, of course, I say the treatment of cancer is very costly. Very, very costly. What will happen to a village person, man or woman? He doesn't have a medical aid, but he's sick. The disease is not discriminating. Neither you cannot invite to come to you not like a flu to say, I was closer to Nina was a flu infection. No, cancer can get you wherever you are, depend how it comes to you, and what type of cancer is it. Therefore, we are going to assist a little as we can for the treatment for those particular doesn't have medical aid.
That's
3,
awesome.
when we are talking about, we are setting up the oncology. Oncology cannot operate by the building. It has to operate it by the people. Currently, we are lacking the specialists in the cancer area. Those are oncologists, hematologists, even the pharmacist to mix the medicine, particular focusing, as the doctor described, for the cancer. I have just returned from Cape Town, where I am discussing with the University of Cape Town to send some medical personnel to go for the specialization, meaning the foundation is focused to the training and the human capacity.
So Lamech, we'll get back to you in a second. Ms. Awanga, I want to ask you, if I heard Tate Lamech correctly, he said he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma cancer. I'm sure many of the viewers and myself involved would like to understand that in more layman's terms. So can you explain to us exactly what that is?
Nina, let me just start off by explaining exactly what cancer is in simplified terms. So your body has cells, right? So those cells are building blocks to whatever organ functions. So whether it's your heart, whether it's your bones, whether it's your blood, it's all made up of cells. Now, cancer cells are, let's say, cells that are not needed in the body. Cells that are not needed in the body, cancer cells. So when we talk about cancer, we talk about cells that are not needed. Okay, sorry. We talk about cells that are not needed in your body to build up your organs. So these are, we can call them nonsense cells. So what Tate Lamech has is multiple myeloma, and multiple myeloma is stemming from a plasma cell. So your plasma cells are the cells that make your antibodies. Now, these are to fight off your infections, whether you have a simple flu or you have a more serious infection like an STI. Your plasma cells are the ones that produce those antibodies or substances that fight off these infections. However, when that becomes cancerous, your body starts producing even plasma cells that are not needed by the body. Now, this cancer particularly stems from your bone marrow, and your bone marrow is what builds your blood cells, your white cells, your red cells, your platelets. They all come from the bone marrow. And if any of those cells are multiplying unnecessarily, then it takes over the bone marrow, and all your other cells are unable to function properly. Your bone marrow is also unable to make your other cells, such as your red cells and your white cells. So that's particularly what multiple myeloma is. It's an overgrowth of plasma cells.
I wanted to ask what makes multiple myeloma cancer so unique, because it's not with all cancers that you would hear a patient say that they have to have a bone marrow transplant.
Exactly.
You have them have chemotherapy and etc., but not to that extent. Of course, also with signs and symptoms, I think they would vary much, but I'm no medical expert. So please talk to us about what those signs and symptoms would be to pick up, that one could potentially have cancer.
Nina, the thing with cancer is that it doesn't have any specific sign and symptom. Right. That's the biggest problem, and that's exactly why cancer is not early diagnosed, or it's not early detected, because it can have systematic symptoms. Now, it depends on what area the cancer is affecting. Let's say you have a breast cancer. This means that your breast cells are overgrowing, and therefore you can expect things like a lump, and because of that you can expect systematic symptoms like infection or just fever and so forth. Because the bone marrow is so specialized in making our immune system cells that fight off our infections, what happens is that the patient will present with recurrent infections. You will have flu, and that flu will probably be worse than what the next person has, because now your bone marrow has been overtaken by these cancerous cells. So you have flu, you have symptoms such as fever, but what I want to urge is that when you have recurrent symptoms, whether it's a recurrent sore or it's a recurrent flu, or you have a sore that's just not going away, or a fever now and then I'm not saying you have cancer, but it should really trigger you, and it should prompt investigation, yes.
All right. Well, Tata Lamech, you did explain, of course, the objectives of the foundation and the oncology center that you're looking to establish in the north. But a lot of times, just like Ms. Hawanga mentioned, people don't even know that they could have cancer. We don't know what to look for, what the signs are, what the symptoms are. So is there perhaps some awareness as well and educational activities that the foundation will be doing to educate the Namibian nation about the cancer virus, or disease rather?
Yes, Nina. The difference between Lamech Mwanyangapo Cancer Foundation from the other existing foundation, I'm not saying the other existing foundation are not doing their work. They are doing well. They are more focusing on the awareness creation, which is a very good thing. But this one, the new one, is focusing more on treatment. That's why we are focusing, aiming to meet the government halfway on treatment. But of course, we have to do awareness creation among the communities. Soon in our plan is that we have to go deep in the villages. We need to acquire a mobile clinic. Now, with that mobile clinic, we need personnel. We need to have an agreement, particularly with our partner, which is the Ministry of Health and Social Services, because when we make screening, ladies, yes, it's a breast screening, a civic screening. Boys, unfortunately, if we focus mostly to the school going, the boys, you don't need really to go to them because they are still underage. You are only allowed to screen men of over 40 years, if I'm not mistaken. But then what are we going to do with these samples? They need to go to the laboratory. For the moment, we are going to collaborate, or we are collaborating with the Ministry of Health and Social Services. And for us to go to the villages, we cannot just drive the mobile clinic and go to the villages. We need a permission from the Director of Health in those regions.
Right.
We have to do this on the clinics. And then we have to make sure that even the sample that we are taking are not contaminated. Now, if the result of those are negative, particularly, let us say, example of the lady, breast cancer is negative. You need now to send this person or a referral, and he needs a mammogram. When I'm talking to you now, most of the hospital, they don't have a mammography. It is when now the foundation come into state, instead to ask the government to buy, can we offer mammography machine to the 2-3 hospitals so that people can stop to go to the bus to go to Windhoek, but get at least screening and first aid treatment right there. That is the difference between the others.
There's an African saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you have to go in numbers. And it seems, of course, that as you mentioned, there's personnel needed. There's, strong arm needed to make this foundation a success. So how can individuals, businesses, communities, Tata Lamech, get involved to support the mission of the Lamech Mwanyangapo Cancer Foundation?
Namibians, we must also learn to do our own things. I know everybody's thinking that Lamech set up the foundation. Of course, we have to go to the donors, but we need to own what is ours. Business people, they need to invest in the health of their nation. When we go out, we need financial support. Yes, financially, we are looking from the business to support us financially so that we can reach up to the core deep in the village where we have sands or stone or mountains if it's necessary. Then when we go there, we also going to find patients, those who still have cancer, but they can't walk. They lost their limbs. They need wheelchair. How can we donate this wheelchair if Namibians cannot pocket, go in their pocket, and they say, foundation, we give you wheelchair so that you can go and help others. Or even the blankets, whatever is necessary. This is the year of drought, probably food, we don't know. But we are saying, everybody come on board. Call us, we can tell where the need is.
Ms. Sawanga, I want to know, as a medical scientist and as a special advisor, clinical advisor to the founder, what would your role entail for the foundation?
Well, Nina, my role is particularly involved in diagnosis. Because we do know that if cancer is not diagnosed, it cannot be treated. So I'll be advising the foundation with regards to diagnosis, diagnostic services. As Mr. Mwanyangapo mentioned, there's different services that will need in order for this cancer clinic or this oncology center to prosper. Things like your laboratories, your medical personnel, oncologists, and all that. So it's really more about diagnosis and definitely research, because we need to, as Namibians, we need to treat with evidence-based. Nina, right now, we're treating from the textbook, and most of those textbooks are written by Westerners. But we do not have our own research, our own statistics. So that's also another role, to do more research and to give evidence-based treatment to our own Namibian people that is tailor-made for our people. Cancer stems from genetics, and different geographical regions have different genetics, and we will not know what our genetic makeup is unless we have our own research. So that's mainly my role, to focus on diagnosis and research. Yes.
Dr. Lamech, when we started speaking and I asked you about what inspired the birth of the foundation, you gave a really inspiring story, and you said that you decided at the end of it all that you've declared war on cancer. I want to ask you, for somebody watching this evening that is either battling with cancer themselves or looking after a family member that is suffering from the disease, what words of encouragement or advice could you possibly give them?
My message to my colleague in cancer is that there is life. There's still hope. But we need to do the right thing at the right time. Yes, first and foremost, if all of us will accept cancer as a disease like any other diseases, but in order for the medical personnel to deal with your disease, at least you must go for the test as soon as possible. If we can get tests each and every year, we can understand our status. Where are we with these diseases? And then, of course, the earlier the treatment they start, the better the life would be improved. There's nothing wrong. But on the other hand, the family members, please understand the cancer patient. Sometimes you think they are so uncontrollable because the people are on pain. They need encouragement. They need care. Talk to them peacefully and talk to them nicely, just like a baby. That's what they are looking at. So when they have a peace of mind, definitely the medicine would work.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
Ms. Sawanga, your final remarks you'd like to share with us this evening?
Well, I'd just like to urge everybody that if you are experiencing any symptoms, especially if they're recurrent, to not ignore these symptoms, because the earlier cancer is picked up, the earlier it can be treated, or the better it can be treated. One thing about cancer is that if it's not picked up, the cancerous cells are just growing. And that's why you find somebody will say, no, the cancer is at stage 4, or it's at stage 2. So sometimes you're feeling these symptoms and you are at stage 1, but because you've been ignoring them, it progresses all the way to stage 4, and it's only detected at stage 4. By that time, it has spread to other organs. Like cancer can start, breast cancer can even spread to your bone marrow, and it can infiltrate the bone marrow. So I'll just like to urge that if we're experiencing symptoms that are recurrent, symptoms that are strange, and they keep on coming back even after treatment, that we just go for screening, as Mr. Mwanyangapo has said. And obviously, if we all work together, whether it's communities, whether it's the government, or even medical personnel, I'm sure we can really fight cancer in Namibia.
Thank you so much. Tati Lamech, thank you for making time to come and see us this evening and speaking to us. We are waiting with anticipation for the opening of the Oncology Center in the North. I know the NBC will be there covering it.
Live.
So, live, yes. So all the best with that, and all the best with the endeavors for the foundation.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Tate Lamech Mwanyangapo and Ms. Edvig Hawanga speaking to us there about the Lamech Mwanyangapo Cancer Foundation and its objectives and plans. We'll be right back after this brief break. Stay with us.